Welcome. My name is Jostein, and I'm joined by Randi. Hello, Randi.
Hello.
Yes, we are going to go through some basic accounting in this internet course, video course, based on Conta web-based software, accounting software. We've already done this in Norwegian, but we thought it would be useful to have an English version as well. In this course, we'll go through, basically what you need to know to get started with doing your own accounts if you run a business, if you run your own business. And that's something that can be scary for a lot of people, but we feel that we have very easy-to-use software that will hopefully empower more people to do most of their own accounting. We don't expect anyone to be an expert from day one, but if you watch this video, hopefully you'll be able to get started and feel that you at least are somewhat more confident when you do your own accounting. I'm gonna leave. I'm going to leave it to Randi now. I'll talk now and then, but she's the expert, so she'll take it from here. Go, Randi.
Yes, thank you. So first of all, I want to say a bit about who this is for. We recommend everyone to do a bit of their accounting on their own, and depending on how much you feel you succeed and how much you know, you can do more or less on your own and use an accountant. Our software is created so that it's possible for you to do a bit on your own and then have help from an accountant when you want to. And of course, if you do that for some time, most of you will be able to do all of your accounting on your own. Doing your accounting on your own will make it more understandable about your finances, and you will understand more of the economics in your company. And then it might be easier to see what is beneficial for your company or not. So this course is for people who have just started their own business, or if you started your own business and for a while ago and just starting your accounting now. And of course, if you've tried to do your accounting on your own and think that it's been a bit too difficult, this might help you understand a bit more, and then you might succeed doing your own accounting. So this is basically who we've planned this for. Then we'll tell a bit more about ourselves, me and Jostein, who's doing this course for you.
Yeah.
First of all, Conta have invoicing for free of charge for over 10 years now. So we have quite a bit of history, and we have made this accounting now for a bit of time, and we're still improving everything. So if you start using the software now, we will still be improving along the way as you go. So if Jostein, you can tell a bit more about yourself.
Yeah, I work at Conta, of course. I'm responsible for the some of the user experience, specifically the text part of it. So all the labels and stuff in the software, all the messages you see, everything like that. Hopefully, trying to make things easier to understand inside the service itself. I also write some help articles to help people use our software. Other than that, I do some things on the side. I'm a little bit of podcasting and you can see it. I do some stand-up as well, but I don't think it's hard to make accounting very especially funny, but maybe we'll try a little along the way. No, but I very much enjoy helping people get to grips with some of these basics and explaining difficult things in a hopefully easy way. It's something I really enjoy, and it's fun to do these videos. to hopefully help people. So that's me.
Yeah, that's you. And I'm Randi. I'm an accountant, basically. I've founded a lot of companies along the way. I've done quite a few businesses and started them and also finished some of them. But my education is that I'm an accountant. I have an MBA in economics. I'm also a trained teacher, and I'm authorized to do accounting in Norway. So in Conta, I work to make the software reliable, and so that everything you do in our software should be correct and according to all the laws in Norway. So that's my job. Of course, I like to help make it easy to understand, but I also need people like Jostein to help me with both technical stuff and, of course, making a bit more funny and a bit more easy to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's us. Then we'll go through and see what we plan to do today. First of all, we'll have the introduction that we've already started. Along the way, we will try to explain some of the laws and regulations and what you have to do and what you may do. Going forward, we will look at invoicing. We will make some invoices in Conta so that you know how to do it and how to consider the VAT in invoicing. After that, we will start with the accounting and bookkeeping in Conta. We will look through the wizards and show how you can use them. And we will try to do some bookkeeping on some transactions that are quite common. Knowing how to do some common transactions will help you a long way using our software to do your accounting. Then we will look at registered purchase and registered income and how you can do that in Conta. We will have a look at bank reconciliation, which is a good way to check if you have everything you need for your accounting and if you missed something. Then we have a bit about how to avoid the common mistakes. And then we will look at the reports in Conta and how you can use them and what each of them show you. So this is what we will be doing today and in this sequence. So first of all, we'll start off with telling a bit about what is mandatory reporting. We've based this course on two different types of companies in Norway. Ank, which is a sole proprietorship company, and AS, which is
LLC.
LLC companies in English. So those two company types is the basis, but all other company types is similar to one of these. Yeah. So it should help almost everyone. So the mandatory reporting would be an income statement with attachment, VAT report, and employment and salary report. Those are common for both of the types of companies. But then in addition to this, the AS company also needs to hand in a tax report on their own and the yearly accounting and statement for shareholders. All of these is reports sent to the government, and Conta try to help you make you do this as easy as possible. So this is the mandatory reporting. We have a list of deadlines in our help pages so that it will be easy for you to make sure that you send in everything you're supposed to. And then we'll talk a bit about what is valid documentation. To have an accounting, you need to have some documentation for what you're doing. To be able to go back and check each transaction and look at an invoice or some other kind of documentation is what makes your accounting complete. You need either receipts or invoices or some bank statements or some other kind of documentation for each and every transaction. And this documentation should always include the following information. It should include a date, and that would be an invoice date or receipt date or bank transaction date. And that date is also the date that you should add into your accounting. Such information should also include invoice number, and invoice numbers should always be created by some kind of system. And then you should say information about the seller, which is basically your own company. Then you need the name and organization number for the seller. For the buyer, you would need a name and an address or an organization number. Yeah. Also, for more information, you would have the calculation and specification of VAT, the word foretaksregistrert, which is a Norwegian word for one of the registered, is in Brønnøysund. And most companies would have to be registered there. And if you're registered, it should include information in your invoices about that. You also need a description of what has been sold and the quantity. That would be hours, units, or whatever regarding what you're selling. You also need delivery time and place, the price, and a due date. If you use Conta for your invoicing, all of this will be included, and we will have a look to see how you make your invoices in Conta and how you include all of this information.
And if you take a look at a receipt that you get when you're out shopping and stuff, you can see all of these things on the receipts as well. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's correct. And it's a good way to have a look at this when you do your accounting, both to check that it's correct and valid, and also, of course, to know all of this information.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Then we will continue and make the first invoices in Conta. Now we will, as I said, continue with making the invoices in Conta so that you can see how it's done. And this is just a list of what I want to show you. So here you have the app in Conta. I created a company called Basic Accounting just for this course so that I can show you everything. And this is the start page when you go into Conta. And we're on the part of the app where it shows a factura. If you go to register purchase, you will be going to accounting, and a new quote will take you to where you can make offers or order something and send to your customers. So what we want to do is first we want to create an invoice. The first time you create an invoice in Conta, you will have this picture help you make the settings for invoices in Conta. The first is to make the first invoice number. All invoices from your company should have a continuous sequence.
And if you've previously made any invoices, you have to remember to start with the next number.
Yeah, so if you have made invoice 1022 before, you can make invoice 1023 here. So then you start on the next number.
Because it's very important that there's no gaps in the line in the numbers.
Yeah, because this is one of the things the government will control if they have a control in your company. And if you have a gap, they might think that you have made some invoices and deleted them or something, and then would have more income that you don't want them to know about. So that's why it's so important to have a full sequence and got no gaps. Then it's the bank account. You need a bank account to put on your invoice, and this would be the bank account where people should pay to you. So we put in a bank account number. Norwegian bank account numbers have 11 digits. So I'll just put in 11 digits here. And then you can give the bank account a name, and this name for the bank account will be used both in Factura and in accounting as the name of the account. Bank account 1. Here you can make a name that makes you remember which bank account it is, and might be recommended to use the name of the bank or something.
Generally, we don't recommend having have as few bank accounts as possible because it'll make bookkeeping a bit easier for you.
Yeah, if you have many bank accounts and keep moving money between them, it generates a lot of accounting, and it's something that's easy to do mistakes. And then it might be difficult to find out what you've done wrong, and might use a lot of time for that.
Of course, if you have an LLC, you might be legally obligated to have certain accounts.
Yeah, then you need at least 2. One to do the taxes for employees, but
yeah.
So 2. Many companies would have 2, but we have seen companies generate up to 10 bank accounts, and then it might be a bit more difficult to do your accounting.
And also, if you have a sole proprietorship, try from the start not to use your private account. Even though it's possible, it's better to have a separate one. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's correct. If you have a separate one, it's easy to do bank reconciliation, and it is easier to find out that you have done all you need to do.
Yeah.
So we recommend everyone to have a specific account for your business. Yeah, that's what we recommend. So when we put in the settings to make an invoice, that's only the first time. You get a picture looking like an invoice. It's in Norwegian at the first time, but you can choose to have your invoice made in English. So I'll choose that I want it made in English. And then all the text will be changed to English. And the word invoice is put in instead of the Factura. That's the Norwegian name of invoice. First of all, we need to register a new client.
Oh yeah, and this is connected to the public registry of companies, so that when you start typing, you will often get suggestions, and you might hit the correct company right away.
Yeah, it's everything that's in the official register of companies will be put up, also the addresses. So it's quite easy.
Of course, now we've sold something to the Norwegian Crown Princess here.
Yeah, we have. I use the Norwegian name since we are Norwegian in Norway now.
Yep.
But,
She lives at the castle, right?
Yeah, she's in the castle in Oslo.
Or palace, I don't know what it's called.
Yeah. So then we've created her as our customer. Want to have a look at the invoice dates. For this course, we're starting at the beginning of the year, so we're starting in January, even though we're making this in July, as you can see. The 4th of July, and I missed.
That's okay.
And the payment date was supposed to be on the 15th. So this you can put in on your own. Normally it's 14 days, but as it was a bit shorter for this invoice, and that's how you can change that. As you see, we get invoice number 1023, since we said that we wanted to start in that number. This is a field where you can add some information to your customer, and then we want to use make an invoice line. She has bought an online accounting course. this course is a price of 4,000 plus VAT. As you can see, then the amount is 4,000, and then the system automatically generates the VAT and adds it on the invoice.
Yep.
So now this invoice is finished and we can send it to her. This is the sending options in Conta. You can send by email. You can send as e-faktura to private persons or EHF faktura to businesses in Norway. You can send as Conta mail. That's a snail mail going out in the post, and Conta sends it for you. Or you can send it yourself. If you press send it yourself, you make the invoice, and then you have the possibility to download the PDF of the invoice and send it from your own email, or send it in the post if you would like that.
Now, if this was a company, we would also have the option to send as EHF, which is a different type of electronic invoice.
Yeah, that would. And also some companies, or most companies in Conta, will also have the option to send this as a fast track to receive payments.
Yeah.
And then you can get your money from our Easy Bank, which is a company we cooperate with, and they would pay it to you the same day or the next day, and then they will get your money from whatever customer you would have.
Yeah, so
that would be an option as well.
They forward, like they pay the invoice right away, and then your client or customer has to pay them instead of you.
Yeah, so that's an option as well.
Yeah.
We'll not make another invoice just to show. We register a new client, and we also want to sell this course to the Crown Prince's husband, so the Crown Prince. The same address in Oslo. This was also sold in January. The rule is that you should make an invoice a reasonable amount of time after it has been sold. And the reasonable amount of time would be 1 month. So if you're a bit late on your invoicing, try to do it at least once a month. And it has the same due date. It changed back to Norwegian, but on the top of the page here, you have the option to change it into English. Here is also options to have repeating invoices, link them to projects, or link them to departments if you need to do that. He has ordered 2 accounting courses with us. The same sending options, and we now added him as a business, and since it's a business, we have the send as EHF option. Now we've made the 2 invoices, and if you go to details, you can have options to send reminders if it's past the due date. You can send it to debt collection. You can create a credit note. A credit note is a note saying that the invoices goes back to 0. So the invoice is kind of a plus and the credit note is a minus. You can resend the invoice. You can add it to due date. If you're unlucky and won't get paid, you can write it off as a loss. And of course, you can have a copy of the invoice. It's also an option here to register payments. So we'll register payments for this invoice. it was paid on the due date and saved payment. All of these transactions, both the invoice you made and the payment I've registered now, will be part of the accounting and will show in your accounting. So it's work done and already in place in the accounting.
Yeah.
Look at the other one as well. That was the same one.
Yep. That's okay.
There's the other one.
Yep.
And we register a payment for that one as well. It's paid on the due date.
Yep.
If you need to, you can put in your own date or say that it's paid today.
But it should be the date that you received the payment.
Yeah, it should be the bank payment date. So it's the date that it shows up in your bank account.
Yeah.
And show in your bank statements.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you, Jostein, can tell us a bit more about the option of using KID codes.
Yeah. So we offer KID, which is it's a number identifier for the invoice. It's a number that the customer has to put in when they pay the invoice. You've probably done this if you live in Norway and have paid like your electricity bill and stuff like that. You can see the KID number. This is something we offer our users to put on their invoices, and the benefit of this is, well, first of all, you need an agreement with your bank, but it's very quick to set it up. But the benefit of it is that you don't have to do what Randi did here. You don't have to do that anymore. Payments will be automatically registered instead of you having to do it manually. It's much easier, and it's sort of something that, especially if you have a high number of invoices, it'll save you a lot of time, and we very much recommend using it. It's a paid service, but it's not going to break the bank. It's very affordable, and it'll save you, like, if time is money, it'll save you a lot of time and money. So we highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's true. So now we've shown you the invoicing in Conta, and we'll talk a bit more about VAT concerning invoices. I'll go back to my presentation. The VAT information for your invoice might be a bit difficult. Normally, most services in Norway, both services and items you buy, have 25% VAT. So that's for most products. Food and beverage have 15%, and that is food and beverage for humans to eat. So most of what you buy at the grocers every day will have 15% VAT. So if you sell something like that, you need to make an invoice with 15% VAT.
And how about food that you buy in restaurants and stuff?
If you eat it on the site, it's 25%. And if you take it with you to go somewhere else to eat, it's 15%.
Right.
Yeah. And 12%, that is for transport of humans, cinema tickets, and short-time renting of rooms. And that might also be, if you're renting something out, that might be a VAT rate that you would need. And then we also have 11.11%, that's for sale of raw fish to a sales institution. These sales institutions normally make all the documentation you need. So that's why it's not possible to use 11.11% when doing invoices in Conta. You're supposed to register in the VAT register when you've sold for over 50,000 within 12 months. So it's not within one calendar year, but within 12 months.
Yeah.
We also have some zero rate VAT. And what we call zero VAT, it's what's in Norwegian called fritatt, and that would be export, sale of books for private use, sale of newspapers and used cars. These have zero VAT, but they're part of the VAT regulations. So that would mean that if you sell some like this, you have zero VAT on your invoices, but you should still be registered in the VAT register. And then you have all the invoices or income that is exempt for VAT. Those is not part of the VAT regulation, and if you sell some of these services, you should not be registered in the VAT register. This would be health services, teaching, and cultural arrangements, and things like that. This is something that is possible to get help at the tax office if you are unsure of what is correct for your business. Now we will start on the accounting part of this course. And first, we need to know a bit more about the accounts. The accounts in any accounting system now is 4 digits. So from the 1st of January 2020 in Norway, it was mandatory to use this account plan with 4 digits. And it's a set of digits that you want to use.
Yeah.
The first number is what's most important. So that's what you would need to remember. It might be a good idea to have a post-it note or something like that with those first digits. The first we'll start a bit to talk about is income. All of us know what income is, and then that income is that something is coming in, something we're earning in our company. And all of these transactions is added to an account starting with number 3. The most used one is account 3000, which is sales income with 25% VAT. And for many companies, that's the only one they use. And if you have some other kind of income, you would need to find other accounts. In our help pages in Conta, you will find a lot of information about this. Some of it only in Norwegian, but you might be able to get it. Or we can also help you at our customer support, or the tax office would be able to help you as well. So that was the income. And then we have expenses. Expenses are on 4 different accounts. So those are the ones that are most divided. Starting with 4, it's the stock expenses. So it's expenses for things that you sell. It can be things that you buy and then you make something of it and then you sell it. Or it might be things that you buy and sell directly as the same object as you bought. So that would start on 4. The most used account on the 4 series is 4,300, which is purchase of sales goods. So purchases of goods that you sell forward in just the same manner as you bought it. So then it's the series starting with 5. That's personnel costs, so salaries, employment fees, and such things. And that they all start with 5. So if you don't have any employees in your company, you wouldn't have anything on your accounting starting with 5. The 2 last ones is 6 and 7. There are quite some expense accounts there. On 6, you have costs for renting. You could be renting an office or renting a shop. You also would have your phone bills in there. And on 7, you have marketing, and you also would have some bank costs and stuff like that.
Yep.
So those are the expense accounts. And the profit and loss report would show you income minus expenses. So that's the profit and loss report that consists of these accounts and show you if you've earned money and how much money you have earned in your company.
Right.
Then we have the balance accounts. The assets, let's start with the number 1. And assets would be everything you buy in your company that would last more than 3 years and have a value of over 15,000 Norwegian kroner. Assets also contain the bank accounts, and if the customers owe you money, all of these start with 1. The most used one is 1920, which is the bank account that's normally used for all payments. Then we have the liabilities. Those start with 2. And so the balance report would show all assets and liabilities, and they will also then show all accounts starting with 1 or 2. Liabilities is everything you owe from your company. That can be that you have a loan from the bank, which would normally be account 2220, or you can be that you owe the government some VAT, and that would be on account 2740. So these are the most common accounts for each group and what number it starts on. As long as you can get the transaction with the first digit of the number correct, it would be used in the correct way in accounting. So then you would get a reasonable report. So that's a smart thing to do, is to just make this post-it note and remember those first digits. We also want to show you these accounts in our software. So moving back to the settings. In settings, accounting, and chart of accounts, you will find a list of all the accounts that are in the system. All of those who are active will show with a green mark, and those are the ones that show all the time. These are the ones that we think that you will be needing. But we also have put in all accounts that are available in the standard system that you're required to use in Norway. So those are not active, and there's quite a lot of them. But if you need other accounts that the one that you show up in your searches, you can go back here and add and activate some of them. So if you press the green button or press the field here, it will be marked and it will be active. Yeah. Now I'll take it away.
And it's good to just activate the ones that you actually need because it makes it harder to make mistakes.
Yeah, it does. Here you can see that all the accounts starting with 1 is part of the assets. So, for instance, group 19 is the group for cash in hand and bank deposits. And here you can see the account. 1900 is cash. 1920, as we talked about earlier, is the bank account 1 that we added. So the 2 first digits is the account group. We'll show you a bit more about those in a few minutes. So now we'll go back and we'll start to use the welcome wizard and to start doing the accounting. We then go to the start page and open the welcome wizard. First of all, we need to find out if you've done bookkeeping before or not. In this business, we have done bookkeeping before. The question is, have you previously done bookkeeping for this outside of Conta? And it doesn't matter who's done it, it's just that it has been done. And then the question is, when would you want to start your bookkeeping in Conta? And for this company, we're starting on the 1st of January 2020. So then I choose that date. When I press next, I go to the VAT registration info. This has been added in the settings from before, so then it's correct here. But we've made it a part of the welcome wizard in accounting as well, so we make sure that VAT is correct, has correct information. Add a bank account. We added our bank account when we made the first invoice. If you haven't added a bank account to your company, you will be asked to add one here. This is a setup for your chart of accounts. As we said, we activate those accounts we think that you will be needing, and this part of the wizard will help us do that. So the business has employees. We talked about earlier that cost for employees should start on account or have accounts that start with the number 5. So if we cross this mark, it will add all those accounts. If the business sells goods, and then if it owns vehicle, if it owns stock, or if it owns real estate, it will be added those accounts for those type of businesses. This business also sells services. Then you press next, and you get the message, excellent, that went great. Now you're ready to start your accounting. And first of all, we start by creating the initial balance. I will press done here so that I can show you where to find it in settings as well. Settings, accounting, and initial balance. So this is where you find your accounting. The initial balance, it will always be added on the day before you start your accounting in Conta. So when we start on the 1st of January 2020, the initial balance will be added on the 31st of December 2019. Up here, you will see the parts of the initial balance. The initial balance consists of clients, supplier, and a balance, and all those 3 together will give the total initial balance. So the first is clients, and here it would be a list of clients that owe you money from the previous year. So this company does not have any clients that owe money from 2019 into 2020. So here it's 0. If you use Conta to do your invoicing from before, this should normally be correct, and you need to correct it in Factura before you go on to the next part here. The next is suppliers, and that means that if you owe any suppliers any money. Here you can search for suppliers if you have added ones before, or you can register new ones. We owe money to Telenor, which is a phone company in Norway. The invoice numbers should be on the list that you have from your previous accounting. And the amount you owe them should be added as a negative amount. So minus 899 is what we owe them from last year. Then press next. And now we have come to the balance part of it, which is the total. It says here that we have 899. The clients would be listed here if we had some clients owing us money. Then we would add the rest of the initial balance. This would be added from our previous report. So this is just a list that we have from a previous accounting, and we will add the numbers here.
Right.
There, we're finished doing the initial balance for this company.
Now, I'm sure a lot of people encounter problems when they do this. It looked very smooth and easy now, but there's always it's always possible to get help if you have problems.
And we also have a small separate video showing the initial balance.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
That can be useful to look at as well. So here you can see that it's also possible to edit the initial balance if you find out later on that you've done something wrong. Now we will start our accounting by adding one of the most used costs. We go to register purchase, and we want to register our first phone bill for 2020. Again, I look for the company that I got the phone bill from, which was Telenor. Phone. $8.99 this month as well. And then I can search for phone, and then I get up the telephone, which is a cost account. What you here need to consider if it's the correct first digit. We talked about it that expense accounts should be on accounts starting with 4 for supplies of what you sell, 5 for personnel like salary, and 6 and 7 for other costs. This one starting with 6 would then tell us that this is probably correct. And then, has the invoice been paid? Yes, it's been paid with our bank account. And I now see that I've gone past the date. And the date on this invoice was the 10th of February, and it was paid on the 24th of February. Then we can create the purchase. As you can see, this is quite simple, and the phone bill, you will probably have 12 of them each year. So then you know how to do the 12 first transaction to your accounting. We'll now go back to the presentation and talk a bit more about the account numbers. As we said, the account number consists of 4 digits, where the first one is the one that is important to remember and to find out if it's correct. This number is called the account class. It starts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 that we've already talked about, but there are also some accounts that start with the number 8. Accounts starting with the number 8 in financial costs like interest, and you can have both interest like an income that you get from your bank when you have money on your account, or it can be interest that you have paid on loans on different things. So those start with the number 8. As long as you use correctly the first digit, the rest will be correct in accounting, but it can be not specified on the correct way, but it will then end up on the right places in all the reports. So as long as you get the first digits correct, most of your reports will look good. The 2 first number in the 4-digit number is the account group. Here the account group is 22. 22 meaning that it starts with 2, so it's a liability, and the group 22 is liabilities to financial institutions like banks and so on. The 2 last digits are account code. Those are not mandatory. It's only the 2 first digits that is mandatory in Norway by today. The last digits can be used to specify a cost. Here you can create several ones, like if you in this for this company had several bank loans. One loan can be on 2220, and the second bank loan could be on 2221. If you had the third bank loan, that could be on 2222. So in this way, you can specify your accounting and show what you're doing, and it can also be used to calculate if you need to calculate some information in your business. So these are the account class and account group and how the 4-digit number is set up. We will also talk a bit about deductible VAT. When you do your accounting, you need to be sure you treat the VAT correctly. Most costs that you have for a VAT business, if your business adds VAT on your invoice, you should be able to deduct most of the VAT on your costs.
Yeah.
The deductible VAT is therefore everything that you buy from Norwegian suppliers that you use in your business with VAT. Products bought before you were registered for VAT can sometimes also be deducted. That would be if it's still in use in the business after you have been registered. And of course, most of the costs you have every day. But then it's more important to remember what is not deductible. A non-deductible VAT cost would be costs for social gatherings for employees or customers. Like if you take your customers out for dinner and treat them to a good meal, that would be a cost for the company, but it's not liable for a VAT deduction. The VAT, the word VAT stands for value added tax, and it means that it should be added to costs and deduct for costs that add value to the product. And the government has then decided that you treating your customers to a meal does not add any value to the product they're buying. So therefore, it's not deductible. Purchases related to exempted income would not be deductible as well. If you have a business with both VAT income and exempted income, you would need to have only a partial deduction for the VAT. Then it's some rules about car costs. If you have car costs for a vehicle with a white registration plate, it will not be deductible. If it's on a green registration plate, the cost for VAT would be deductible in your accounting. If something is not deductible for VAT, you should choose the account or the VAT code number 0. The VAT code 0 means that it's non-deductible cost. We'll show you later on how that is done in Conta. Food and beverage that is bought to be sold to clients or is not bought to be sold to clients would not have deductible VAT. Now we'll go on and show you a bit more how to do transaction in your accounting.
Cool.
Yay. Here's where we left off. We registered one purchase where we registered a phone bill. We can have a short look at how it looks in the transaction list. One of the reports in your accounting would be transaction entries. And here it shows all the transactions that has been added. Here you can see that it's the description, which is the text we put in mostly. And here is the accounts that has been used. 1920 is the payment that is also part of this transaction. We will go on and look more about the wizards that we have to help you add transactions. We have 4 accounting wizards to be used to be added transaction. We have the register purchase that we have already used and that we will use a bit more. We have register income. We have register bank statement reconciliation, where you can both do the bank reconciliation and you can add bank costs. And you have the any transaction that can use for any of the above, and then even more transaction that does not fit into any of the other wizards can be done here. We'll start first of all by adding a bit more income.
Now, as you can see by the text under the headline here, it's this is for income that is not already been automatically registered by Conta. If you make an invoice in Conta, then they're automatically like registered in the book, so to speak. So this is for other types of income.
Yeah. So what we will be adding now is that we have been on a sales fair and sold something and got paid in cash. Then we can just add a customer or a client called cash sales. You would always need an address, but it doesn't mean anything when you just add a client like that. You write the description. Put in the date. This was on the 15th of January. And the amount we sold for in cash was 1,190. On the wizard for income, you can only add income. And here it shows accounts starting with the number 3. As we said previously, all income will start with an account starting with 3. And the most common one to use is account 3,000. So that one is correct today. Have you received payment? Yes, I've received payment and it was paid in cash. And then we put paid in cash and create income.
Great.
Then we've added another transaction in our accounting. Now I have an account in the books saying that we have cash money 1,190. Normally, we would go put them in the bank the same day, and this company has done as well. So then we go to any transaction to add the cash deposit. It was the next day, so the 16th of January, cash deposit. Here you're starting to know the names debit and credits, which is some accounting terms that accountants use. You can also use the names plus and minus. The easiest way to find out if something should be plus or minus in the accounting is by thinking about the bank account. If money go into your bank account, it should be on plus, so on debit. And if it goes out of your bank account, it should be on minus, so on credit.
Yeah, it can seem it can seem a bit difficult for people, but if you think about plus and minus, then I think it's easier to think about it like that.
Yes, it is. And if you use the bank account, it will always be easy to find out if it's money that has come into your bank account or gone out. So then the cash deposit that goes into our bank account, so then it should be plus. Then I write bank. And here are the lists of accounts here. And there's one starting with 1, one starting with 7, and one starting with 8. Then it would be good if I knew all what the first digits mean. Here, the number 1 means that it's an asset. The number 7 means that it's the cost. And the number 8 means that it's some kind of financial cost or income. Here it's the asset, the bank account that I want to add money to. So then I know it's an asset and it's easy for me to choose between the listed accounts.
Right.
And then it's minus or credit. It's on the cash account. We looked at it earlier, so I remember the number, but you can also write cash and it will show up. And the amount was 1,190, and then we can create the transaction. Great. The transaction number 7 has been registered, and we have done again a bit of our accounting and knows a bit more about it. We'll also go back and register one more purchase. Normally, you need documentation, as we've talked about, for all your accounting. I'll show you how to do that on this one. Upload attachment. So here I can show upload an attachment if I have one, or I can find one in the inbox.
You can also just drag and drop it from the desktop.
Yeah, you can, and that's an easy option as well. Here I see that I have one invoice in my inbox. So then I go and say I want to use that one. Then the program suggests to add a supplier. This supplier has never been used before, so the company or the software understands who it's from and reads the invoice and find this information for me.
Now this is this type of thing has several names. Some people call it AI. Some people say machine learning and stuff. But what it is, it's a program that can read scanned invoices and scanned receipts and stuff. So when you take a picture of a receipt, most of the time it will be able to read it. Of course, it's important that the picture is as clear as possible. But yeah, it saves a lot of time, and I've noticed a lot of internet banking does this as well now, so it's cool.
Yeah,
but of course,
it helps a lot.
But of course, we think we have the best version of it.
Of course, we do.
Yeah.
So then we create a supplier. Then when I go down, I can see that for this invoice, it picked up the information about what has been bought, who it's been bought from, the date, the invoice number, and the amount. The only thing missing here is the expense account. Here, I want to say that since we are selling accounting services and accounting courses, this would be a cost for what I'm selling. I then choose an account starting with 4. If I choose the number 4, it would be easy for me, knowing that it should start on the account number 4. Let's see what accounts I have starting with the number 4, and I can choose one of them. And here I choose 4500, which is external services and subcontractors. Here you can have the VAT code. Here I said that if you have something that's non-deductible, you should choose no VAT treatment. This invoice has VAT. As you can see up here, it has VAT. So it should, and it's not food or any car costs, or not any of the ones that we said that were not deductible. So here it should be deductible, and then we choose the number on the code is 1, but it's 25% input VAT deductible. Then, has the invoice been paid? Yes, it has been paid. It has been paid with our bank account, and it was paid on the 16th of January.
Now, a trick here that we recommend is that you put the payment date in your internet bank as to be the same as the due date, and then you put the same date here, so then you don't have to go back when you've paid it. I think
yeah, it's a very, very good solution and makes the accounting very much more efficiently.
Yeah,
it does. So for a registered transaction, we have now used registered purchase, we have registered income, and we have registered any transaction. And now we want to look at bank statement reconciliation. I press the button and go into it. The first month that I want to reconcile is January 2020. That was the first month we were doing our accounting in Conta. Upload bank statement. Here I can drop it, or I can fetch it, or I can get it from my inbox. I put it in my inbox. So here it is. And then I get it up. The bank reconciliation is actually to look at your accounting and your bank statement and find out if it's correct and if it stays the same. My bank statement says that at the end of the month, I have 14,933 on my bank account. So then I write that in the bank statement closing balance. This means that I have a difference of 7 Norwegian kroner. Then I have to find out where these 7 is mistaken. It can be something that I'm missing in one of the lists, or it can also be an amount that I've written wrong. Here it was easy for me to find. It's gebyr, which in Norwegian is a fee. So it's a bank fee of 7 kroner that is missing in my accounting list. Then I can add a transaction. Bank card fees. It's on the 31st of January, and it was 7. Then I can save it. I see that I now have no difference, and I am able to approve the reconciliation. Great success. The account has been reconciled with your bank statement for this period. And now the bank reconciliation is finished. As you can see, then it's green for January. And here you can see if you finished more periods, if you come longer into the year.
Pretty great.
Yeah, so now we've used all the wizards, and maybe Jostein will tell us a bit more about the mobile app that we're offering.
Yes, we have a mobile app available on the App Store and Google Play. Now, this app has basically one feature. We decided to focus on receipts, and what it does is that it allows you to take photos of receipts wherever you are. Like maybe you're out buying something, maybe you've been to a restaurant or whatever. You can take the receipt and snap a photo of it right away. And you log in with the same username and password as you do in Conta on the web, and then you send the image that you take directly to your company in Conta, and then next time you log in, it's waiting there for you, and you can register it as a transaction in your accounts. So it's a way to never lose an invoice or a receipt, because obviously you need the documentation. So it's sort of a way to get into it's an easy way to get into the habit of always taking a picture of any receipt right away, because then you don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it anymore. So we highly recommend having this app installed on your phone.
Yes, it can also be used at your desk if you don't have a scanner available and have gotten invoice in the mail or something. You can just have a picture of it.
Yeah, you certainly don't need a scanner these days. The only thing you have to make sure of is that the receipt is readable by human eyes. So as long as it's clear and readable, then it's good enough, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Obviously, if you the better the picture you take, the more the software will also be able to recognize what you have taken a picture of. So if you take it in the right lighting directly above, you will get much better results when you import it into Conta, and probably like the best case is you don't almost have to write anything when you register the transaction. So it's very, very useful, and it really works. I've used it myself. It's fantastic. So and also it's included in Conta. So if you're using Conta for accounting already, then like it doesn't cost anything. So it's there's no reason not to use it.
Yeah, That's true. Now we'll talk a bit about some common mistakes that you should try to avoid, of course. Accounts with similar names, when you search for phone costs, if you write phone like I did and you press that you have personnel costs, you will get out both a cost account starting with 52 and one starting with 69. Knowing then that account starting with 5 is a personnel cost, then you would know that that's not the phone bill. And then you should choose the one starting with 6. So account with similar names but different account numbers, it's an easy mistake to make, but then it's the first digit that will help you out of these issues. Then it might be confusing if you have different banks accounts. And the bank accounts get one number each. So the first bank account will be 1920, the second one 1921, the third one 1922, and so on. So if you mistakenly write that you have paid something with account 1920 and it was 1921, you will have 2 accounts with wrong numbers in them. So we recommend using as few bank accounts as possible to avoid these mistakes. And then, of course, be careful when you use these accounts to make sure that it's correct when you make it. Then you have purchases made for a sole proprietorship company or an AS company, and that has been paid with a private card. Many businesses does not have a credit card on their business, so they pay it with a private card and get the money back from the company. In a sole proprietorship company, in ENK in Norwegian, this goes to account 2060, which is a private account, but in the AS company, it goes to account 2915. So this is some accounts that might be nice to remember those numbers if this is something you use often. And then it might be confusing to separate between assets and expenses. But assets is something that you have bought that will be lasting for more than 3 years and has a value of over 15,000 Norwegian kroner. If it's not, it's an expense.
Is it value over 15,000 or will last longer than 3 years, or does it have to be both?
It has to be both.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you buy it for 100,000, as long as it won't last for more than 3 years, it should be an expense.
Okay.
Yeah, it should.
So if you buy a laptop for like 20,000, can it be argued that won't last more than 3 years?
Yes, it can definitely be, because laptops nowadays, if you depending on what kind you buy, but if you need one that's updated and works good, it might be easy to say that it won't last for more than 3 years, and then you can put it as an expense right away.
Good. I'm just asking to clarify with a common example for people.
Yeah, it's and many people or companies buy computers or laptops for their company, so it's quite normal expense or asset to have in the company.
Thank you.
Yay. We'll have a bit look at the reports in Conta. I'll go back and show you.
Now, these reports, some of them are mandatory reports for the government, and other ones are like for your own viewing pleasure. Isn't that right?
Yes, it is. We have separated the reports into 3 different type of reports. We have the bookkeeping reports, we have the account receivable and payable, and for the tax administration.
And
tax administration,
the ones that the government are mostly interested in are under the tax administration menu, but also sometimes they might ask you for the middle one, right?
Yeah, they might ask for any of the reports.
Yeah.
They might, but these are the ones that we're obliged to send to them from the beginning. So it's the tax return for VAT, it's an income statement, and the export of data. From the 1st of January 2020, it was a standardized format for exporting bookkeeping to the government. This is to simplify they looking into your accounting. So if the government asks you for a report and want to look at your accounting, this is the report you want to send to them. The tax return for VAT is normally sent every 2 months, and the income statement once a year. So those are the three reports that is for the tax administration. We'll have a look at the accounts receivables and paywalls. If I looked at accounts receivable, it should show if anybody owe me money. No one owes this company's money right now, but it can also show a period and show what has happened in 2020. Here you can see the invoices that we've made and also the cash sale that we have made. All of these are closed, meaning that they have been paid, so there are no open posts that need to be paid later on. They're also the same for suppliers, accounts payable. Everything has been, we have one from Telenor, the one from last year that has not been paid. Yeah, so accounts payable, this one is open and we can show the period and show the invoice that we have made today, which is 2 of them. So that's those reports. Then the bookkeeping reports. The most interesting one and the thing that we look at most is, of course, if we earn money or not. And that is the profit and loss account. For 2020, we have added these income and costs. You could recognize them if you remember the amounts that we have used.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, if you make money, then it'll... how can you tell from this that you've made money or lost money?
It's on the bottom. So if it's a plus, you've earned money. If it's minus, you've not.
Easy.
Quite easy, actually.
Yeah.
And you can also show this for multiple years if you've done accounting in multiple years in Conta. Then we have the balance, which show what you owe and what or the liabilities you have. This company has a bank account with money on it, and they owe some VAT, and they also have a supplier that they owe money.
Right.
So that's the balance. Transaction entries, we've looked at it once before, but it's just a list of all transactions, and it's organized by transaction number. So then you can see all the transactions you have done organized by the number. The general ledger is all the same transaction. It's just that it's organized by account number. So this is all transactions that are on account 1500. Here are all the cash transactions, which was one in and one out that we have added today.
Right.
That's the general ledger. Invoice journal is just all your invoices, and the trial balance is both the profit and loss and balance in one. So that shows all the accounts.
Invoice journal is all the invoices you've made.
Yeah, that you have made.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. So if you see in the trial balance, you have accounts starting with all the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7, because we had no employees in our company. In profit and loss, you can see that it started with 3, 4, and 6, and 7. And in the balance, they start with 1 and 2. So these are the reports in Conta. we've gone through them. Those we've looked at.
Yeah.
And of course, as we said before, we want to make our software so easy to use that everyone can do their own accounting, and we recommend everyone to try to do it. But of course, there might be more difficult issues for some companies, and then we recommend finding an accountant. We have more than 100 accountants throughout Norway that can be able to help you do all your accounting for you, or do the parts that you don't understand yourself.
Yeah, and these accountants, they know the software well, and they know how to use it already. So like it's very easy. Even if you just need help with, if you need lots of help or just a little help, you'll be able to find exactly what you need.
Yeah, that's true. Just a short summary. Remember that you can do it. Accounting isn't as difficult as you might think in the beginning. You will get into it, and many transactions are the same going over and over again. Remember to check the first digit of the account number. The first number is the most important in the account number. If you write description you can understand, it will be easier to find out what the costs and incomes come from. That's a good way to have a helpful accounting. It's to write good descriptions.
Yeah.
Then keep your accounting up to date. It makes it easier to work with, and it's easier to find out what's wrong if you do it along the way than if you try to do it for an entire year or something like that. And of course, what you've done once will be easier the next time. And then at help.conta.no, you find some help in Norwegian, but maybe you can use some translation on the page, or at least you can find some account numbers, because the numbers are, of course, understandable in English.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's everything for us today. I hope this has been useful, and we hope to make some more English shorter videos along the way.
Yeah. Thank you for watching, and good luck.